that was a Hollywood save. Made himself look absolutely stupid. That should have been a routine save. It really should have. And I hate to be that guy, but I expect a lot better from him, especially when I've published a fucking video earlier in the week calling him the best goalkeeper in the world. Hello and welcome back to the Villa Filler podcast. I'm here as always, my good friend Dan Wiseman. Dan, it feels like it's been quite a while since we spoke about a defeat in the Premier League, but here we are, Nottingham Forest 2, Aston Villa 1. I must admit, I feel somewhat responsible for this.
Yes. Although we were both very quick to praise Nottingham Forest's home form. Very, very much two different sides, kind of home and away, aren't they? Both of us were very quick to say that they've been very good at the City Ground, and they've made pretty good games with a lot of teams there. And so, yeah, I mean, I think you predicted a draw in the end, so maybe a bit harsh on yourself. I went with a win. You said it would be a draw, so of the both of us, you were actually a little closer there, pal.
Do you know what it is though? I was talking some smack to the players on Tuesday. That's it. And Holte was one of them guys. And boy, oh boy, did he shut me up. For those who don't know, I was on a shoot with Forest on Tuesday for work. And I can't really talk about it, but what I can say is that they were all very nice guys. And outside of the shoot, I was saying how I was going to be at the game. And I was like, watch out for Diaby. Watch out for Watkins. Going to be a long afternoon for you boys. But they were confident and they were right to be. And yes, it's funny. Alanga actually said to me, he says, I'm going to find you in the crowd when I score against you. And I was like, bastard. I would rate him if he'd have done that, to be fair. But obviously, he was involved in the assist as well. He was for that first goal. I think the thing is, with these kind of games, first of all, City Ground, one of my favourites to visit. I absolutely adore going to the City Ground. The last time I went, we were in the Championship. I've not been since that. It was part of that 10-game win run. I know we've had a couple of sort of drab results there in recent times, but I was delighted to be back. The fans, oh my God, mate, they just don't stop singing. And I feel like this happens. I'm quite critical of the atmosphere at Villa Park at times because I feel like it can be better and it should be better. And the City Ground today just, it sort of put us to shame, really. They were so loud, they didn't stop. And it's in these kind of games that the intangible becomes tangible. And it really gave them such a boost, and especially for that first goal, mate. Scoring early on in a game like this against the side like us in the form that we're in, that set them up then for the rest of the game, didn't it? Sorry, Alanga didn't get the assist. He was the pass before the assist. I'm just watching the goal back now. But Holte, it is a really good goal. It's a really good goal. And it's one of them where it's like, I'm watching it back now, and Alanga caused us trouble quite a bit throughout the game, mainly just down to his pace. He's extremely fast. Got on, he was on the other side of Cash. That ball comes out. Again, it's kind of Should Douglas step up? I don't necessarily think so. Should Zaniolo be tracking his man a bit better? Possibly. But a hit like that, you can't really argue with. It's a really good goal. Can't necessarily account for a right back scoring like a half screamer in the 5th minute, can you? And that straight away, mate, just put us right on the back foot.
Yeah. I can't really fault much of what you said there, mate. I'll concur with all of that. It's very reflective, the start that you made of the general level of quality in the Premier League, not just on the pitch but off the pitch as well, in terms of the general level of managers and of coaching staff and of tactical nous. In that, if you go anywhere really in the Premier League and you only kind of bring 80% of your A game, you'll lose.
Yeah,
and you see this so often now, where we've kind of seen it tonight with Luton so nearly getting a win really against Liverpool, and that if you go anywhere in the league and you're not totally on it, the Premier League it will just eat you up. The managers are too good. The players are too good, particularly when you're going on the road. And that when you kind of come flying out the traps and everything like that, as Villa have done very well this season, I think we've kind of been the aggressors and we've been the ones to kind of upset the odds. And we've been the ones where it's like, if you come to Villa Park and you're not 100% from minute one, we'll come and burn you. And it was kind of flipped on us today, really. And it was a really good goal. It was a really good goal. But it's interesting in that I don't necessarily have that same kind of fear when we concede now, because we've both seen that we've responded to kind of adversity like that quite well. And by and large, I think we did. But no, it was a very good goal, mate.
I think what's frustrating about this, and again, you can't really account for a goal like Ola Aina's, if we're being completely honest, because, you know, it's an excellent goal. It's kind of one thing that I do, you know, I feel like I say this a lot on this podcast, though, mate, is like, let's just have a shot. Let's just have a shot from outside the box. Let's just see how that goes. That's literally how they got their 2 goals. They just took a shot. A little bit of space opened up, and they thought, you know what, I'm going to test the keeper. That was Odysseus, I believe is how you pronounce his name. That's his first start in the Premier League.
Mm-hmm.
And
but that's what I'm talking about in terms of quality, man. Like, this guy was playing Champions League football with Benfica, and now he's Forest's reserve keeper. Like, the quality is like so deep in this league.
But also, mate, it's like we're in November, right? This guy's not played.
Yes,
and this is his first start in the league. Just shoot, like, come on, like, Dougie, we know you can do that.
Yes,
stuff like that. That's a bit frustrating. I totally take your point, mate. He is a great goalkeeper, but I think what annoys me is conceding a goal in the way that we did, at the timing that we did as well.
Yeah,
it all it did was allow Forest to do what they were going to do in the first place, and stick all 11 men behind the ball, sit on the 6-yard box effectively, and just defend the box. And what I will say is they defended it so valiantly, and I have to give them credit for that, because their box defending was brilliant. It was incredibly frustrating, but it was brilliant. You can see the pain in my face when I'm saying that, but it was a fantastic defensive performance. But that's all they would have done anyway. And it's like, if Villa get a goal and you force them to play a bit, they're at home. They're not going to take a draw at home. They're going to have to come out and play.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw throughout the game as well. I mean, to be fair, we kind of get caught with the high line in the build-up to that first goal. But they had so many offsides. We played the high line to absolute perfection. They had 9 offsides in the whole game. 9 offsides. That has to be a record.
Yes. Well, I believe they said on commentary there were more offsides in the first half of this game than there have been in the full match in any other game in the Premier League this season.
That's just remarkable, isn't it? And like, you know, we executed that so well, and that's obviously great. But I mean, they had more offsides than they had shots. That's like, that just goes to show you that, to be honest, I still don't think, people who I was with, people in the ground, we're dominating, we're controlling, and we're not producing. It's like, I didn't feel like we necessarily controlled the game. And I know people are probably going to think, Dan, what are you talking about? 74% possession, 13 shots, 4 block shots. Like, it never felt comfortable at any point. But it also, I don't really know what I'm trying to say here, mate. I don't really, if I'm being completely honest, I didn't feel assured when we had the ball that we were going to score or we were going to break them down, because they defended so well.
They gave us so much trouble down the wings and on the counter attack when they've got so much, like, a lot of legs in that team. Awonyi coming back in, Alanga out wide, Morgan Gibbs is a really good, like, when he's on the ball, how he progresses it, and like, he's kind of got these really, like, long strides, and he progresses the ball really well. And then Ola Aina and Toffolo were having a lot of fun in those wide areas, and it kind of meant that we're always a threat on the counter, really. And I think what's kind of frustrating about this game is that I haven't seen the XG, so I'm going to pull that up.
Would you like me to tell you now? I've got it. Oh, got it up, mate.
Please,
got it. Please. Nottingham Forest 0.41, Aston Villa 1.26.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping it would say. I'm bad, because otherwise I would have had egg on my face on this next point. In that, I think we did more than enough to win the game.
Yeah. On another day we win this game. On another day we win this game.
Totally. I think, look, Emmy makes the mistake. And it was a really... Yeah. It's a really... Kind of from start to finish, I felt that when they took the shot, he reacted late. The dive came really late, it felt like. There's a half a second where he doesn't really leave the ground, and then as a result, it's a really kind of awkward technique, and then it's a whole mess, and I'm not going to go into it in too much detail, but he'll know that he should do better, and it's a real shame for him given the kind of week that he's had, that he's kind of coming and do this. But maybe this whole evening is not humbling, maybe that's a bit too strong, but a kind of reminder that, as I say, we always need to be on our A game. But, the chances that we had in the second half, there's really good chances for Ollie with a header from across from McGinn that he could do better with. There's another header for Leon Bailey that I thought he could do better with at the far post. There's a chance for Leon where it's kind of cut back to him and he leans back and he sends it way over. There's chances for Diaby. There's chances for Tielemans. He sent a couple way over the bar. There's all sorts, and that's just in the second half. Zaniolo had some good openings in the first half, and so we did more than enough to kind of win this game. And poor finishing really has let us down. And I kind of feel that if you are going to lose a game because of one individual element of a team performance, finishing's probably up there, because on another day, the whole point of expected goals is that it's expected to level out over a season. It's why strikers that always overperform their XG are always taking the little pinch of salt, because it is assumed over a great period of games that will level out, and more often than not, unless you're a truly elite player, you kind of end up in and around your expected goals tally. And so the same applies to a team, and that, on another day, we kind of win this game, but our finishing wasn't quite up to it today. And I thought the performance on the whole was pretty good. I think you're right. I never really felt like we truly were controlling the game despite the possession. But that's because I think the counter-attacking threat that Forest have.
Yeah, no, spot on, mate, spot on. I think we do struggle against these kind of sides, and it's something that we have to definitely do a lot better with. But full credit to Steve Cooper, excellent tactician, really good manager. Don't like how he thinks he's Jurgen Klopp though. Fist pumping at the end, that grinds my gears. But I think it's fair to say he earned the right to do that. Just my thoughts on Emmy, mate. That was a Hollywood save. Made himself look absolutely stupid. That should have been a routine save. It really should have. And I hate to be that guy, but I expect a lot better from him, especially when I've published a fucking video earlier in the week calling the best goalkeeper in the world. How silly!
Yeah, I did think about that. I did think about that.
No, thankfully nobody fucking watched that video. Like literally nobody watched it. Today was the fourth time Aston Villa failed to score in the Unai Emery era in the Premier League, and all four of those games were away from home, courtesy of AVFC Stato. That's something we need to work on. It felt
do we need to talk about that? Is that dialogue? What do you think? Is that not a cause for concern? Like, what's your thoughts there, mate?
I think at home we have a tendency to blow teams away, and I just think I think the way that teams play at home in general, where they sort of dominate the ball, they probably you press harder, more intense, with more energy, just because you're at home, you've got the support of the fans, that kind of thing. I think that almost sets us up for our own downfall. And like, there's one game that is burnt in the back of my mind for away from home performance where I'm like, that was a 10 out of 10 performance. There's two, and they were within probably the same month as well. Earlier on in the year, we went to Tottenham away and Chelsea away, right? And the way, again, they are better sides than Nottingham Forest, so there is that caveat, but the way that we defended effectively with an 8 and then attacked as a 6, but then defended as an 8 straight after losing the ball, that sort of discipline, I don't think we've seen away from home in any game this season, including European games, maybe not the Alkmaar game, but definitely the Warsaw game. There wasn't that same tactical cohesion. There wasn't that emphasis on defending as a team and attacking as a team. And I think it will vary depending on opponents and depending on, have we played midweek? Have we got tired legs? This and that. That obviously all comes into consideration. But I think against a side like Forest, as you said, mate, clear counter-attacking threat. You can play the high line and that's fine, but the reason the high line works at home is because you have sustained possession and pressure, right? So those 9 offsides that Nottingham Forest had, there's no chance they come to Villa Park and they have anywhere near the same. They have half the amount because we naturally will have more of the ball and they will have less opportunity to counter-attack. I think it comes down to control, and we need to figure out whether we are capable of being aggressors and playing as we do at home, away from home.
Yeah.
If we're not, then I think even against a side like Nottingham Forest, I don't think there's anything wrong with us sticking eight players back defending and sort of basing them on and us picking them off on the counter-attack. I honestly thought if Villa somehow managed to get a goal, and if I'm being completely honest, it didn't look like at any point for 70 minutes that we did look like we were capable of scoring. But if we did get a goal, I was confident that we'd get back into this game because there would just naturally be a lot more space. And we're really good at finding and exploiting that space. But in games like today, literally 11 men behind the ball, it's very anti-football. There's not a lot really that you can do. You just got to hope that handball from Murillo, I think it is given.
Yeah, well, you got to look, and that's why the kind of I don't want to keep coming back to it, but that's why the kind of mistake from Emmy is disappointing, because I think if it's only 1-0 going to that period of sustained pressure, maybe we're not talking about a defeat.
No, exactly.
I think there's definitely a world in that it kind of changes, because realistically, it kind of felt that once we'd spurned the kind of chances that I've been mentioning, once you got to about 75, 80 minutes, it kind of felt that, you just know, yeah, it's not happening today. You don't really get that at 1-0 because you know that all you need is one to go in. Whereas like once you start to hit 80, 85 minutes, you start to think, yeah, well, we're not going to get 2-3 goals needed to turn it around. But yeah, and I mean, I know Luton went and did it at Forest very recently, so it's not an impossible task. But yeah, it just didn't really feel that we ever really kind of had that. And I think the only kind of qualms that maybe I do have with that kind of a way, and I was kind of interested to see it, because I was like, I've never really known if Unai's, because we've never been behind much, Unai's style is necessarily suited to chasing games.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of put wrong by that, because we did create a lot of openings, but because his style is so about being very measured and waiting for the opposition to come out, and like you wait for them to press you and then you cut through them. When you're 2-0 when you're 2-0 down to Nottingham Forest away from home, they're not going to do that. They're not going to come and press you. And so I was kind of proved wrong, because we did create a lot of openings. But I think it says a lot, and to kind of spin this positive, I think it says a lot about the faith that we have in Unai Emery, in that even when it was 2-0 and even when we were chasing the game, and it was kind of that slow build up from the back, and we were playing it from centre-back to centre-back to full-back to centre-back to centre-back to full-back to DM to centre-back, as we kind of do over periods of time, that there are the moans and groans, and it's like, oh, because we know the process and we know the project and we know what we're trying to do. And that's good. And look, we've got 2 nice, very important home games coming up. And the one thing that you can say is every time we have fallen short this season, every time there has been a defeat, we've managed to bounce back well. And more often than not, they have been forgotten. Like that 3-0 loss at Anfield was pretty dire, as was the defeat at Newcastle. And both of them kind of feel like almost footnotes, really, in the season that has been Aston Villa's success. And I'm pretty confident that this will be the same.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. And it's not even like we have time to dwell on this because we're back in Europa League action on Thursday. And then it is that game at home again on Sunday. So there's time to put this behind us, make things right, almost hopefully, knock on wood, secure an exit out of this Conference League group and into the knockout rounds or the playoffs to the knockout rounds. And then we'll focus on Sunday's game. But guys, let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I feel like today is going to be one of them games where you're either... I feel like it's quite a polarising defeat. We've created enough chances or we didn't create enough. There's going to be two very clear camps. So, yeah, we'd love to know which camp you're in. And I'd like to just take a moment to thank everybody who's made it to the end of the podcast or video on YouTube. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, share with your friends. If you're on Apple, Spotify, follow, download the episode, leave a review. All helps. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe, and I'm Villa.